This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC 309. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, most confident picks. We'll talk Degen Props of the night and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. Last week was pretty fire. Lock City parlay comes through. I've been doing some lock of the week parlays and they've been cashing as of late. Last week we had to do a late notice replacement though because Sopa and Tercios got canceled. I had Sopa and Gomes as the Lock City parlay, but after the weigh-ins we brought Damon Blackshear in and he definitely made me very proud. He was already a confident pick and the Degen prop of the night was him winning by submission and it came through. And on top of that, him becoming the key addition to that Lock City parlay with Gomes and Cashin, it was a tremendous Saturday. And I'm very happy that the Lock City parlay has been bringing fire. And this week for UFC 309, I have to do something special. We've been sweeping most confident picks and hitting locks of the weeks and also cashing some fantastic Degen props. So I'm going to make some magic happen with a special lock of the week for this card. So without further ado, the lock of the week.
Jhonata.
And that's not all. Lock City dog parlay for this week's lock. We're going with Charles Oliveira and Jhonata Diniz to pull through and catch W's. We're essentially riding with some Brazilian supremacy. I'm very confident that Charles Oliveira is going to beat Michael Chandler. Nothing that Chandler has done inside of the cage tells me there is going to be a substantial change from the first fight. And I'm going to double down on it more so. Oliveira has improved since their first fight more than I believe Chandler has. I think that Charles Oliveira looks even better this time out with a more dominant win over Michael Chandler, who we've seen lose 2 fights recently to guys that Charles Oliveira absolutely wrecked. And his lone win as of recent is against Tony Ferguson, who, oh yeah, also put him down. And Tony Ferguson's lost how many fights in a row? He's approaching 10. I think that Charles Oliveira is going to wreck Michael Chandler and get a finish. But I'm not going to chalky-locky just Oliveira for this card. So I said, underdog, Jhonata Diniz, exciting kickboxing heavyweight prospect. I think that he's going to sleep Marcin Tybura. And the reason that I believe that is Diniz has a style which is kind of built to fend off grappling attacks, and he is a patient finisher. You look at guys that have had great success with Marcin Tybura. Early on, strikers like Greg Hardy are busting him up, who's nowhere near Diniz's level, okay? Strikers like Walt Harris or Tai Tuivasa, these guys were hitting Tybura with bombs and absolutely wrecking his shit on the feet. But what they do is they overextend themselves and they gas shooting for a finish. And Marcin Tybura is very good at weathering storms, but I believe his weakness is heavy-handed Brazilians. He was knocked out in the first round by Augusto Sakai some years ago, and I don't think Sakai is to the level of striking caliber that we see with Diniz. And we saw Diniz do really well at stopping Carl Williams' takedowns. But Carl Williams got cut from the UFC. He's not comparable to Marcin Tybura. Completely different, sure, but things to take away are somebody that brings a wrestling-based style, already failed against Diniz. He took him down in the 3rd round, but look at the punches that Carl Williams ate. These are clean shots to the chin, but somehow Carl Williams is rolling with these shots like very few heavyweights. And I don't think a 39-year-old Marcin Tybura, who's eaten bombs throughout his career and has been knocked out before, can eat big shots from Diniz. Carl Williams is a lot more mobile on the feet than Tybura is. If they're caught standing up, I think Tybura is way more susceptible to getting slept. So yes, I am going with the dog Lock City parlay. We're locking a parlay again. We're going Charles Oliveira, the fan favorite, and one of my favorite up-and-coming strikers in the heavyweight division in a very long time, Jhonata Diniz, because of his patience. You bring the two together and you get a pretty money tag. We're sitting at a lock parlay line of plus 217. So you're more than doubling your money for my lock of the week this week. I'm doing it. I want big plus money. It's a card filled with a lot of wide lines and chalky bets that need to be laid down if you're going straight money lines. But I got more parlay magic coming at the end. The Dog Lock City parlay. We're going lock of the week, Charles Oliveira and Jhonata Diniz to get you plus 217. I see both of these guys winning. I think they both have really clear paths to victory, and I see success on this parlay, and I'm feeling confident locking up these damn parlays as opposed to just single fighters. I like doing straight fighter locks too, but I've been feeling these parlays, and I'm keeping it coming, especially for UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden. This is a big card, and I had to bring something special. So there it is. Lock parlay of the week, Charles Oliveira, Jhonata Diniz to come through at plus 217. As I pop out the Zin, we got to jump to the next section. We have to talk about some of my most confident picks on the card. Now, I will bring 4 up on the screen, but I'm going to drop a special 5th most confident pick, which I also did last week, as well as a high confident over 2.5 rounds as well. So we got some special things coming. First things first, Corinne Silva, minus 260. I know that Corinne Silva has a ton of talent and finishing ability, but I will anticipate against Araujo, we're probably going all 3 rounds. Araujo's never been finished in the UFC. She's actually pretty decent with her hands, and her grappling defense is solid enough to survive, but I don't think she can outwork Corinne Silva, and I also think she's going to have a hard time stopping the clinch attack, trips, and even takedowns from the outside. Corinne Silva's a really crafty, up-and-coming prospect. I think she has a ton of promise, and she seems like she's on a top 4, top 5 trajectory, and I don't think Viviane Araujo is the one to beat her. I think she'll give her some trouble for sure, but I think it's a Corinne Silva absolute W incoming. Minus 260, a little bit on the wider side, and that's why, you have to parlay it up. We'll feature at the end. Over 2.5 is minus 260 for this fight. I think this fight's going over. I think Silva's winning it. I also feel like you're not crazy if you did try to shoot for a decision for Corinne Silva at plus 105. Now, she's known for finishes, but Araujo never being finished, it's hard for me to say that she's going to go out there and get finished by Corinne Silva, who just won a dominant decision against Ariane Lipski de Silva. So Corinne Silva, decision is the call. I think that's money. I'm actually seeing lines as low as minus 230, but that's like an anomaly. I don't think many places are going to have it. You're going to find her around minus 260 for the most part, and she's a confident pick that I see winning. I see a clear path to victory. I think she can strike with Araujo. I definitely think she out-grapples her, and I think she wins the fight on the cards. Let's keep on running. Next up, Bo Nickal, minus 1,200. Oh, my gosh. But he is going to pass Paul Craig. He's going to pass the test. Bo Nickal's a really crafty grappler. He's a great wrestler. He's a high-caliber athlete. And I see him as a promising contender in the UFC. He eats a lot of flack because absolutely the UFC gives him extremely favorable treatment. Like the truest essence of Dana White privilege is Bo Nickal. Minus 1,200 is, pretty wide for a line, but he's fighting Paul Craig, who his only chance is probably a triangle choke from bottom, and I don't think Bo Nickal gets put in that spot. I've broke this fight down, and I've said Bo Nickal is faster in grappling transition speed alongside of being better on the feet and better at wrestling. I just don't see him losing. I think he wins inside of the distance. That's minus 650. The thing is, I have a feeling he ends up tapping Paul Craig out. We've seen Craig submitted. Brendan Allen subbed him up, and I think we could see Bo Nickal get his back and strangle him as well. Wouldn't blow my mind, though, if Nickal's hands were on display in this fight and he slept Paul Craig, because I think Nickal's got some deceptive power. Plus 185 for the submission for Bo Nickal. Another thing I want to mention is you look at Cody Brundage stopping some takedowns. Brundage was a high-caliber wrestler, and regardless of his MMA fighting career, I think wrestling for wrestling, he's definitely better defensively than Paul Craig. Obviously, we know Paul Craig is better with his submission threats from the bottom, but I just don't see Paul Craig being able to handle Bo Nickal. Bo's trending upward, Paul Craig teetering downward, and as many times as Paul Craig has pulled off crazy upsets like against Jamal Hill or Magomed Ankalaev. I don't think it's destined for Bo Nickal to get subbed by him. So we're going Nickal, win. I'm going to say submission. It could be a bit of a reach, though, because, you know, Paul Craig's a crafty jiu-jitsu fighter, and maybe Nickal wants to strike. But inside distance is confident as well. But, yes, chalky as hell. Next up, Mauricio Ruffy. Dude, Brazilian Conor McGregor. The Brazilian Conor McGregor, and not new Conor. I'm talking old Conor, karate Conor. I think that Ruffy wins this fight. I feel as though it's going under 2.5 rounds, which is minus 170. He's a dynamite finisher. Now, Ruffy straight down the center is a huge line, minus 800, but he's levels above Llontop in his technical striking abilities, and he's just well-versed overall. I like KO as the official method of victory call. I do think he finds the chin. That sits at minus 150, though, so you got to lay a little bit down to get $100 back at you, which isn't great. Under 1.5 is plus 145. I would say this is a potential reach because Llontop does seem to have a pretty good chin. It could take, you know, more than 7.5 minutes to put him out. But I think Ruffy's counter shot ability makes me favor the underside. And seeing that it's at plus 145, I'm going to say I will anticipate it's live to go under a round and a half. But by no means is under 1.5 the confident pick here. The confident pick is Ruffy winning the fight. And I think he's going to put on a pretty dominant display. And last but not least, Johnny Bones. Jon Jones. Listen. He's eaten a lot of flack this week from me because, you know, you've seen the videos I've dropped about him in the past couple weeks, ducking Tom. I don't love it. But in a fight against old man Stipe, Jon Jones is very, very, very live to win. I'm saying he's a safe pick. I'm saying he's pulling through. I am not picking against Jon Jones with a 42-year-old Stipe. Not gonna happen. I don't believe it. Minus 650. You got to lay it down to cash anything on Jones. We'll talk parlays and he'll be in it. Inside distance at minus 275. I like inside distance a lot here because I could see Jones submitting Stipe, but I could also see him delivering vicious ground and pound. Something that I will push to you guys, and think of this in your heads. Stipe on his back. How does he fare with Jones on top? I think horribly. I don't think Stipe's got the get-up ability at 42 years old. How? He could trip and fall and not be able to get up. Jon Jones taking him down, laying on top of him? Stipe ain't getting back up to his feet, man. Jon Jones is going to wreck him on the ground. I think it's inside distance. I'm feeling like it's under 3.5 rounds, too, which is around minus 260 I'm seeing. But, you know, you might not be craving an under 3.5. Maybe you just like straight inside distance in a parlay. Or maybe you're just going the straight money line in a longer shot parlay. Ultimately, I see Jon Jones as a winner on this card. It's hard to not call him a lock. He's a chalky lock on this damn card. Jon Jones has only lost once, and it's a DQ win. You bet on Jon Jones since the Matt Hamill DQ. You bet on him beyond that, he wins every damn time. Say what you want, the Reyes fight wasn't great. The Santos fight was close. But he wrecked Ciryl Gane at heavyweight, and his wrestling in the heavyweight division especially, I think, is better than ever before. And I see him with a serious advantage from top position in this fight. And I also don't think Stipe's got the speed to wreck him on the feet either. So Jon Jones for the W, I'm very confident in. Yes, it's minus 650, but yes, it's going to come to fruition. Now, I want to drop some special shit. So next up, we're going to drop another most confident pick, Onama to win. David Onama just recently got a short notice replacement, Roberto Romero. This guy seems like a talented prospect, but he's not going to be ready for the David Onama bombs. I don't see it happening. Onama is minus 1,000. The line absolutely sucks. But Romero coming in, what's today? Wednesday? He gets the call up to fight, few days notice. Listen, Onama's had weight cutting issues, so hopefully he gets that dialed in. And, hopefully both these guys don't end up missing weight because that's a real possibility with a super short notice replacement in Romero, who had a recent fight actually at catchweight 150, but is normally a 45er. Size advantage Onama, power advantage Onama. I think this fight could look similar to the Armfield one, to be fair. Romero has relatively good pressure wrestling, and watching some film on him, I think he's a promising prospect, but the dude does not have the goods for David Onama. Onama is an absolute specimen. He's a powerful puncher. He's explosive and athletic, and he is pretty well fine-tuned with his skill set. Romero's a he's a plus 700 favorite. Wow. Yeah, Onama at like minus 1,000 though. He's only 24 also, so Romero, super young. Is that a good team in Timo Yama? Did lose a recent fight, and he said to his corner, I'm exhausted heading into round 3. So things I don't like, especially for a short notice guy. Say what you want about Onama's last fight with Pierce. I thought that he won it. He absolutely outdogged Pierce in that fight and got out of some crazy positions. And I think David Onama is a guy that doesn't break. He's going to have the better cardio here. He's got heavy hands, and he's going to do some damage. So also giving you guys, a little updated prediction for this card, because the Onama fight versus Romero just got booked. Now, this is the first time I've talked about it. Minus 1,000 though. And now I'm going to drop another one. This is a confident over 2.5. Minus 280 for Hardy and Moura going over 2.5. I think the night starts off with a decision. I'm feeling like Hardy will be able to stop the grappling pressure from Moura, and if they do go to the ground, she'll be crafty and scrambly from the bottom, and I think she will survive the onslaught. And I also, on the flip side, don't think Hardy is chinning Moura. I expect that fight going distance. The pick is Hardy, but the confident call is over 2.5 at minus 280. I see that coming to fruition. I absolutely love the most confident pick section this week. I wanted to bless you guys with extra. I wanted to drop 6 as opposed to 4, and obviously we already got 2 calls with this week's lock, so I'm feeling really good about how everything's looking alongside of most confident picks and the lock parlay of the week. And it just makes me want to jump to the next section. So let's keep running. Next up, we got the Degen Props. Now, Degen Props of the night doesn't mean that they're absolute Degen lines, but they are props throughout the night or over-unders. We just talked about Hardy and Moura, but I'm going to reiterate it. Hardy and Moura is a good call for an over. I like it a lot. But next up, Miller and Jackson going over 1.5. I see Damon Jackson and Jim Miller going into the later stages of the fight. I like the over 1.5. It's minus 260. I think it's going to hit. I also think Damon Jackson outdogs Jim Miller on a decision win. He's going to have the higher volume, and I think Miller will struggle with his pace. Plus 150 for Damon Jackson by a decision. And the final one is my boy Oban Elliott getting it done on the cards at minus 125. I like his chances to win a decision, but couldn't put him in the most confident pick section because I can't really justify that minus 280 line for him here against Bassil Hafez, who's a powerhouse. But I think Elliott wins 2 out of 3 rounds and takes it on the judges' scorecards, and I'm an Oban Elliott fan. So shout out to the Welsh gangster. Dude's an absolute savage and somebody I'm keeping an eye on. Those are the Degen Props. I want to jump to everybody's favorite section. It's definitely mine, the parlays to play. So let's talk some parlays. But before we look at this week, real quick, last week was Walking W City, okay? Unfortunately, some of the odds got shifted because Sopa's fight got canceled, but still was cashing on the kind of Degen call, a nice prop call, the sweep of all the most confident picks, and plenty more. So the parlay fire is coming in, and the Lock City parlay last week, which ended up being Blackshear and Gomes because of the pullout of the Sopa and Tercios fight, came through as well. So things are looking good. Lock-in parlays seems like a money strategy, and I'm going to keep it running this week. So let's talk about some of my parlays that I'm liking this week, okay? So first up at the top, Dog Lock City. We already talked about this, but how could I not bring it to the parlay section? Oliveira, Diniz, plus 217. I'm absolutely loving the line of that, and I think it's going to end up hitting. Now, we got more. I want to do alternate stuff. Safe call. John Jones, Charles Oliveira at minus 158. I think that's coming to fruition. Confident picks on both sides. Next up, a safe 3-way. Make sure you wear your protection in those 3-ways. We got Silva, Nickal, and Ruffy at minus 142. I think that's hitting. I think that's going to be nice. I feel that one. Keep on running down. Live AF, okay? Jones, Nickal, Ruffy, and that Hardy, Moura over 2.5 gets you nearly even money. Minus 107. But at minus 107, I see it hitting. Next up, I got a safe alternate. I like this one. Brazilian dominance again. Oliveira and Silva to win. Minus 105. I see both of these two winning on this main card, and I'm feeling good about that one. At near even money again. Finally, we get it to even money. Plus 100. This one's good. John Jones, Charles Oliveira, Bo Nickal, Mauricio Ruffy. Confident calls on the main card that I see happening. Now, if we sweep the most confident pick section with John Jones, okay, Corinne Silva, Bo Nickal, Mauricio Ruffy, and David Onama, it's plus 115. That is just with the pick sweep. If you add in the over as well, which I think is a very live outcome. You got plus 196 with that Moura and Hardy over 2.5 rounds. That's for the sweep of the most confident pick section. Now, if you're looking for a little 3-1 love, maybe you're like, I love that over in that first fight of the night, and I love your Lock City parlay. Let's put them together. Plus 330 for a little 3-1 love with high confidence. Next up, we got more. Oliveira, Diniz, Silva, and Ruffy. This is the Brazilian Savages parlay. Simply put, plus 395, nearly 4-1 line. I'm loving it for these 4 killers, and I think that they're all taking nice W's home, and Diniz is a dog, which I am super hype about. Now, if we sweep the lock and the confident picks, this doesn't include that over 2.5 with the ladies fight. These are just straight pick calls with Oliveira, Diniz, Jones, Silva, Nickal, Ruffy, and Onama, plus 592. But, like I always say, don't just go out screenshotting. For anybody out there that just screenshots, you're going to miss on this. So I'm talking to you if you just screenshotting the parlays and leave it. No, you got to listen because I say more. I'm not done, okay? I'm not finished talking just yet. If you add in to that sweep of the confident picks, right? If you're like, listen, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to add in a little more, all right? And you're feeling good about it. You want to play some fire, and you add in Charles Oliveira, and you add in Diniz. Now you get a pretty money line, okay? You got plus 839. And actually, if you look at it, I already wrote this down. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't. I already wrote the sweep down. It's the Degen call. Gotcha. I just want to make sure you guys weren't screenshotting and bailing. Plus 839 for that Degen call, which is essentially just a sweep of all the confident picks, the confident over, and this week's Lock City parlay. But if you're looking for a Degen prop parlay, it's the one right above it, which I actually like a lot. It's Hardy and Morris over 2.5 with Miller, Jackson over 1.5, the Jackson decision, and the Elliott win by decision. It just says Elliott there, but it's Elliott decision. Plus 834 for the Degen prop. Now, unfortunately, some of your books will say, hey, you can't same game it. So then if you can't do Jackson by decision on top of that over, you're now at plus 250, which, man, I lose a lot of enthusiasm for that one. It makes me feel kind of depressed, to be honest. But let's get the excitement back. The Degen Savage parlay of the week. Charles Oliveira, Jhonata Diniz, John Jones, Corinne Silva, Bo Nickal, Mauricio Ruffy, David Onama, the Hardy Moura over 2.5, and the Miller Jackson over 1.5. I'm feeling this one a lot. Plus 1,177. I'm in. We've been hitting plus 1,000s, and I see one coming through this week for the pay-per-view. Absolutely love that one. Now, if you're like, hey, I want to do the Savage Degen prop parlay, okay, this is what we're going to do. Chaos. Oliveira, inside distance, okay? Jones, inside distance. Nickal, inside distance. Ruffy, inside distance. Silva by decision, and Diniz by KO, plus 2,244 for a Savage Degen prop parlay. You're looking to make some magic happen with that one. But we're not done just yet. And this last one doesn't need a label because it's literally plus 30,224, okay? That's Savage Degen supremacy. That's the highest level of Savage Degen, right? That's next level. This is the lottery ticket savagery, but you got a good chance of winning it. I think it's live. John Jones in it, just straight. You don't need to even put him inside distance. Oliveira sub. Bo Nickal by sub, okay? We got Jackson by decision. Jhonata Diniz, okay? Corinne Silva decision. Ruffy KO. The Hardy Moura over 2.5. And Mr. David Onama plus 30,224. I actually think this has a legitimate chance of happening if my money calls on method of victory predictions come to fruition, which I feel in my heart of hearts and in my brain that we're on to something this week. I feel like I'm a genius. Listen, genius is insanity right up until it works. And I think that looks insane because we're just going to call that the insane parlay of the week. But after Saturday, it's going to be the genius call. Those are the parlays. That's what I'm feeling. I'm damn excited. You guys can hear it. You can hear it in my tone. This card's going to be dope. I have had my negative things to say about certain aspects of this card, but overall, I am very excited for the action, and I'm super excited for the potential bets. Now, if you are out there throwing cash down on these fights, you should do your own research. I want to recommend that you don't just blindly tail, okay? You do your own due diligence, study, and see where you line up with me. Now, if you're just throwing a couple bucks down for fun, sure, blindly tail it. And the blindly tailers been cashing every damn week, so of course, a lot of people are just consistently blindly tailing, but I always have to recommend, if it's your dollars you're dropping, you should do some research too. It's just you owe it to yourself. I'm doing a lot of research, so should you, okay? And we'll see where we all link up. I appreciate everybody for tuning into the show. Make sure you all smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. This past Saturday, we passed 40,000 subs, so I'm super excited. Much love to all of you. Big things coming on the channel. Daily content coming. I hope you guys been enjoying the daily videos. Keep it locked in with me every single day of the week, so make sure those post notifications are turned on. And if you like what I'm saying, share the video too. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this week's Dog Lock City Parlay. I want to hear. Talk about everything, but that one specifically, I want to know what you guys are thinking. Give me your lock of the week, or maybe your dog lock, or maybe your parlay lock. I want to hear from the people. Now, if you got nothing to say, but just enjoy the content, as always, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out, my people. Much love and good night.